Okay, we are now live. Over to you, Councillor Rowland.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to East Devon District Council's virtual community grant panel meeting today, the 1st of September 2020. I'm your chairman, Councillor Jack Rowland, and would like to welcome anyone watching the meeting via the live streaming. All participants here today are taking part remotely, and as well as being live streamed, the meeting is being recorded, so please bear this in mind throughout, and may I remind you to be careful with your language. I also remind members that the Code of Conduct applies throughout this meeting. We also reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participant who is disrupting the meeting by whatever means. Please turn any telephone devices off or to silent. As this meeting is dependent on internet connection and a power supply, in the event of a break in the internet connection or a power cut, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. After 15 minutes, if we are not able to reconnect, we will consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. Please check the committee page on our website for details if necessary. Please make sure all phones are muted and microphones are muted when you're not speaking to avoid any background noise levels. Keep points short and do not repeat points that have already been made, and do not interrupt other speakers. If you wish to comment, please raise your electronic blue hand and wait to be called. All councillors have been sent the agenda for today's meeting. Any members of the public who want to view the agenda can do so by visiting our website, www.eastdevon.gov.uk. We will now start the meeting by doing a roll call of committee members here present. Can you please now unmute your microphone, and when you hear your name, please confirm by saying present. When you have confirmed you are present, please mute your microphone again.
Councillor Key. Councillor Langdon. Councillor Miller.
Present.
Chris, you need to move your microphone. We can't hear you.
Councillor Parr.
Present.
Councillor Pook. Councillor Rowland.
Present.
I can confirm, Chairman, that we are quorate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we can now move on to the agenda, and the first item is public speaking. I'm pleased to say that we have two members here wishing to speak. First one is Mr. Bill McDermott, Chair of the Buckley Salterton Trust, and the second speaker will be Mr. Mike Ferguson, member of the Coleridge Memorial Trust and manager of its current crowdfunding campaign. Can I just remind the two speakers that you have 3 minutes each? So over to Mr. McDermott, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to brief the East Devon District Council Community Grant Panel before we decide on whether to grant funding to our community project, the Budley Community Workshop Trust. Hopefully you've seen our aspirations on the crowdfunding site. The video explains our objectives and the benefits to the community. Now, I don't want to go over all of that again, but want to really explain where we are currently, why the project needs additional funds. This is not a reactive bid for the fire station. We've been working on trying to get a community workshop for the community for the best part of 3 years. We've looked at a number of other options. We've considered new builds, partnerships, rents, and everything really. But when we learned at the end of last year that the fire station was to become available, we started in earnest to try and negotiate with the Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service to get the building. In fact, we became quite a nuisance until lockdown halted everything. Now the property is going to auction at the moment, but this may change, and it looks like it is going to change. On the 10th of September was the date, but it may be that it's best bids by tomorrow. And that's sold previously, of course, as I said. And it was given a guide price of £125,000, but judging by the number of people who have viewed it, up to 10 people a day have been viewing this. It's been extraordinarily popular. We know that we need a lot more money, because we know that an awful lot of people have shown a great deal of interest in it for a lot of different reasons. Our crowdfunding has gone very well, as you've probably seen. We've raised more than £45,000, 90% of our total that we set ourselves out to achieve. And but we do know now, having had more time to look at everything, what we need by way of funding and also what we need to refurbish it. So far, through donations, pledges, crowdfunding, etc., we have raised more than £200,000 plus £25,000 through the refurbishment being pledged to us by the town council. But no, that will not be enough. We are continuing to apply for support where we can and funding where we can too. And our vision is to acquire the fire station for the local community, place it in trust so that it is a legacy for all to enjoy, a dedicated space for practical and creative activities, support and learning. We believe it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get this iconic building, which you can see behind me, and at the heart of the community, adjacent to the public hall, car park and workshops. There are clear synergies here, and in partnership with the local medical practice and the health and wellbeing hub, we think it is ideally suited where we've chosen it. We have a momentum behind us for this project. It has captured the local imagination, has been covered well in the press, online and on the radio, and we've had a flyer campaign through all the local villages too, and this has raised a lot of the money on the crowdfunding. We've had such lovely comments on the site. We are lucky to have people who work so hard to enable us to lead interesting lives at whatever age, crossing everything that you managed to secure it for the community. Congratulations on your efforts towards an inclusive project for our local community. Sorry, it couldn't have been 6 zeros and so many other things. We've always expected the community workshop to be fueled by the energies of volunteers to make it happen, and also, of course, to be the beneficiaries. Our community relies on volunteers across all services and sectors, and we are a caring, supportive and volunteering community, and it would be a sadder place if that was not true, and of course you epitomise it by the work that you do. I believe there's an expectation from our supporters that we will succeed in acquiring the fire station. I suspect they'd be very sad if this did not happen or we fail because we had not raised sufficient funds locally. I believe we need the extra funds now to ensure we get the fighting funds big enough to cross the line. And therefore, I'm asking the grant panel, please, to make a donation of £10,000 towards the Budley Community Workshop Trust in order to assist us in purchasing a community workshop. Thank you. Sorry for going over.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. Has any member of the panel got any questions before we move on to the next speaker? I can't see any blue hands being raised, so we'll move on then to Mr. Ferguson. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, councillors and other attendees. With this opportunity to have extra funding and with the crowdfunder success we've had so far and money we've raised since 2017, I'm here on behalf of the Coleridge Memorial Trust to confirm our commitment to bringing a life-sized statue of Samuel Taylor Coleridge to St. Mary's Church. It will be the first in the world, and of course at Ottery St. Mary, where he was born. We do think this is an important memorial to the life and works of one of the best known romantic poets, so it's a very positive celebration, especially we think at a time when it's important to promote our cultural heritage, and the statue will help to remind us of that, to explain, and perhaps to educate as well the significance of his legacy. It's not just celebrating history, we think we would be making history. The statue obviously will outlive us, as will the church, as will the town. And because of that, it's a significant statue cast in bronze, and it has all the permissions to be placed at the historic site, which is the church. The importance to Ottery is it's that final jigsaw piece, if you like, in the celebrations, the memorials to Coleridge. I live just on the outskirts of the town near King's School where his father was the headmaster. If I walk into town, I cross the Coleridge Bridge. I arrive at the land of Canaan where there are the ironwork sculptures of a tar barrel roller, a pixie, and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Then we have the wonderful poetry stones, Kubla Khan, that meanders along the pathway there, and the inspection panels that explain to visitors something about his life. I was privileged to contribute to half of one, which is about his poet, the sonnet to the River Otter, where Coleridge has fond sighs as he looks back on his time here. If you walk into town towards the site of the church, you'll see the blue plaque, which commemorates the old schoolhouse that was there. There's a stone profile on the wall, but there is no statue. So the final observation is once the statue is there at the church, it will be placed alongside the Autry St. Mary Heritage Museum, which was opened by the Heritage Society in 2018. And it forms a real focus for visitors to the town, for tourism, for that potential for economic growth, just the tourist appeal to contribute to Devon, this historic town. The town itself is expanding. We have new bespoke independent stores. We have new eating places, as well as popular and established ones. So again, my thanks to any contribution that EDDC feel they can make to this. And it gives us that opportunity to really begin this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Does any member of the panel have any questions for Mr. Ferguson? Again, I can't see any blue hands being raised, so we'll move on to the next agenda item then, which is the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 18th of December 2019. If anyone has a comment on the set of minutes from that date, please do so by raising your blue hand. If I have no blue hands raised, I will take this as an indication that you all agree the minutes of the previous meeting. Again, I can't see any blue hands, so thank you. We'll take the minutes of the previous meeting as being agreed. Okay, agenda item 3 is apologies for absence.
So the only apology I have received is from Councillor Bailey. I'm not sure about the others, so we'll mark them as apologies as well.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, agenda item 4, declarations of interest. Over to you, Wendy.
Yep, okay, so Councillor Miller. You're on mute, Councillor Miller. Do you have any declarations of interest?
Sorry, no, none.
Thank you. Councillor Parr?
None, Chairman.
Thank you. And Councillor Rowland?
None.
Thank you.
Okay, so agenda item 5 is matters of urgency. There are none. Agenda item 6, confidential exempt items. There are no confidential exempt items which officers recommend should be dealt with in this way. So we're now on to agenda item 7, which is to consider the Pledge for Badgley Salterton Community Workshop bid. If anybody has any comment, can I please do so by raising your blue hand?
Sorry, Chairman, I can't seem to find a blue hand.
Councillor Parr.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Well, I've read the information on the agenda and heard the presentation by our public speaker. And I think it's an absolutely excellent project. And I've noticed on the website that they've now raised 40-odd thousand pounds, which is a tremendous effort. It's a huge, steep amount to raise for this building, but I think it's a tremendous vision to get such a building for the community and for such an excellent cause. So I'm definitely going to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. Can I just concur with what you've just said? I think this is an excellent project. And I noticed by close last night that £45,133 have been pledged against that £50,000 target. So I would like to concur. And if I can, from the chair, I'd just like to clarify as well. if I heard you correctly, you are asking for £10,000 through this grant?
Can I just come in on
Jamie.
that, please? Yes. Because the amount that they're trying to raise through their crowdfunding campaign is 50,000, we can only fund up to that 50,000. So when I looked at it earlier this morning, they were on 45,133 of the 50,000, which means we can give them a maximum grant of 4,867, which would get them up to their target.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I was going to be making the same point if my maths had been worked out correctly, that I also calculated at 4,867 as the maximum we can give today. So I'd actually like to move from the chair, the maximum amount we can grant today is £4,867. So if I can move that, if there's a seconder.
I'd like to second that.
Okay. I think Councillor Parr just might have beaten you to it by raising her hand, Paul, but thank you very much. So can we now go to a vote on that by showing the blue hands, please? That's all three of us in favour anyway, yes. So yes, pleased to say that amount has been pledged. Thank you very much. So if we can move on to the next agenda item, is agenda item 8, and that's to consider the pledge for the Coleridge Memorial statue bid. Does anybody wishes to speak on this from the panel? Councillor Parr, thank you.
Yes, Chairman. Again, this is a very worthy project, and I think they've gone a good way to raising the funding that they want. I think we should support them. Obviously, Coleridge is an extremely important poet. I read English at university and studied the Coleridge, Wordsworth, Keats, and he has a tremendous connection to Altry, and a lot of people will know, and I think a statue would be a worthy memorial to him. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Can I just start? I didn't actually hear the amount that's actually being requested. So can I just ask for clarification on that? Jamie.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, when I looked at the project this morning, they so far raised £14,840 of their £20,000 target, which means we can fund a maximum of £5,160, which will help them raise their £20,000.
Okay. Just so I made sure I heard the figure correctly. So it's 5,160?
Yes, Chair, yes.
Thank you. Can I move from the chair then that we pledge 5,160 to the Coleridge Memorial? Seconder, thank you, Councillor Parr. All those in favour? Again, if you could show by blue hands or raising your hand, or thank you.
I had put my hand up to speak on both of these to speak, Jack.
Oh, I do beg your pardon.
Don't
Paul,
worry.
I didn't notice that. So, do you still wish to speak on the second one then?
Well, I'll speak very briefly just to say that I have read the details of this project, and for anybody in the public that might be following our meeting this morning, obviously it's not very popular these days to start erecting statues, but it's quite heartening that Coleridge actually campaigned against the slave trade. It's probably a good thing for people to bear in mind, as well as being a fantastic poet. Yeah, I support. I just wanted to put on record that I fully support both of these applications, and obviously vote in favour of both of them. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. And my apologies if I didn't notice before your virtual blue hand being raised. Okay. So I'm pleased to say both those pledges have been approved for the amounts that we've already mentioned. So that actually brings our meeting to an end. I'd like to thank everyone, including any members of the public watching online, for taking part. Can I just remind all those present that the supporting officer will confirm when the meeting is no longer being recorded or going live. Until then, your comments will be live to the public. Can I just say, in view of the amounts that have been pledged today, I applaud both of the projects that have been put forward today, and I wish you every success in bringing them to fruition. Thank you for attending today.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. I'll let you know when it's stopped streaming.